Well, here we are again, Chris, on the Crabbie's changing room chat. We started off with the second most capped forward, Scott Murray. We had the legend that was John Jeffrey on for the 1990 Calcutta Cup game last week. And this week, delighted to say we're joined by John Welsh. How are you, John?
Great, aye.
He started
Really
already. He started already on you.
Thank you for having me on, Al.
Corporate facing John, delighted to have you here. So ahead of Friday night's game, Chris, I know you had a bit of a look back at it.
2018.
The 2018 game against France.
Well, it's back to a bit more recent, isn't it? 2 years ago, the France game at home. I won't give away the result, but it's a cracking game. It starts fairly frantically. France get off to a pretty good start. And it was, talking to Welshie before, it was in that period where Scotland were really trying to play the quickest brand of rugby they could. So it's entertaining viewing, certainly for the first 30, 40 minutes. Then we see a bit of the old tension coming on in the second half with some real quality defence, actually. But I don't know, Welshie, you played the week before in Wales and you were involved in the squad with this one against France. But it was chaos at times at that moment, wasn't it, in terms of quick rugby, trying to outfox the opposition?
I think the Welsh game was one of the fastest games I'd ever played in. Both teams had set out to basically play that way, and it was the first 20 minutes. I think there was obviously definitely one intercept try, and Reid broke the line a couple of times with basically should have been tries. Like you would back yourself scoring them any day of the week, and unfortunately there was like drop balls, and it was just so quick, and it was tit for tat. And Wales had obviously came out. I think we were at half time in that Wales game. I think it might have only been about maybe 14-7 or something like that. It was I can't remember exactly, but they were ahead, and obviously we were still able to catch them.
You'd started against Wales,
yeah.
So give us a bit of insight into your memories of the build up to the France game. So
it would have been about the Tuesday or Wednesday the team would have got announced. Just usual, you both know what it's like when it's been decisions, injuries, players coming back, whatnot. Maybe the coaches still making decisions on players. Again, we weren't changing the way that we played in terms of speed and try to keep the tempo. And obviously our tempo plays off our lineouts. When we've been in a kick battle, it was like you're saying, just ferocious, the speed of play. And that was still the game plan going into the France week. And I think it started off the same again. I remember it was a nice day, obviously, at Murrayfield. And Teddy Thomas, I speak French. I studied German at school, well, so I like it. Thomas. So basically, he scored two quick tries. Good. He actually had a brilliant game. And then, like you said, we managed to call him back. I think from Hugh Jones had scored. I can't remember if he scored. It was Maitland, and then Hugh Jones had scored. Sean scored, and then Hugh Jones scored. And then it kind of went into that, like we came out at half time, a few substitutions were made, and I'm just sitting in bewilderment going, why have I not been subbed on yet? And
just interest when you're talking about that, who's in charge of the sweeties for the bench that day? Can you imagine? Does that still happen?
Don't know what you're talking about.
You don't get... That used to be a big part of it.
Team does.
What's the big moments that stand out for you when you're wearing the Scotland jersey?
It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. It's an honour every time you put it on. You know that yourself. I enjoyed the Wales game in the Six Nations just before we'd went to that fateful World Cup in 2015. But that was a good game. I got my first try and only try for Scotland, and Big Jim ruined it by starting a fight with Alan Wynne-Jones.
That's right.
No,
because he started a fight for no reason. I'm sure we had about 2 minutes left in the clock. It was something like that, and then the ref had just had enough of it. But the thing was, we were obviously like, Finn Russell had taken, I'm sure he took the drop goal quick so we could get back to restart it.
That's right.
And the ref, obviously, Big Jim started the fight, and the refs just went off, blown the whistle, had enough of it and stuff, and obviously everyone's protesting and that, and Big Jim got the credit for scoring the try, which he did get corrected, but,
it was you.
I hardly play, and then I get a try, and then you start a fight to ruin it all. That was again, we lost by a few points, disappointing. Obviously, the big one that everyone knows was the World Cup incident. But
talk us through it from your point of view.
So we're ahead by however many points with 2 minutes to go, and the rain had just started pouring down at Twickenham, and we were winning. Obviously, Mark Bennett had scored that intercept.
Right.
I mean, what a game for a spectator. So we came on, and basically Australia, I'm sure, had marked up the front two pods of the line out, and Big Richie's called it to the tail of the line out. In the weather, 9 minutes in the game, thrown to the tail. We've not got a clean catch on it, and it's just been like hot potato at the back of the line out. Obviously, I was a back lifter, and basically it was just hot potato between John Hardy, Straussy, and Phipps, and it's basically rattling off of Phipps. Like, he's got a hand back to, but him and Straussy are both going for it. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, like, I'd never actually watched it till the start of the World Cup we've just had there, mm-hmm. and one of my friends had sent it, and I've never rewatched it, honestly. Mm-hmm. Not out of being like, oh, I can't bear to watch it. In fact, just I'd moved on. Like, that had happened on the Sunday, and I played for Newcastle, my brand new team, on the Saturday, and I've played I've had my career down here ever since. And obviously, you get lots of stick off your mates and stuff like that, but I'd never actually seen it. And when I first watched it for the first time at the start of that World Cup there, I thought, how did I catch that? It was like a bullet. It must have been. It was honestly the pace that it came at me, and I've caught it, and I just thought, how have I even caught that thing? It was accidental, because it came off of Phipps, and everything just happened so fast that I don't think Phipps knew, Straussy knew, Hardy knew, I knew, nobody knew who'd touched the ball last. Mm-hmm. And I think that obviously
Joubert, you probably chucked Joubert into that mix as well. He wasn't entirely convinced who'd touched the ball.
100%, yeah. It was so quick.
I think it's instinct. It's pure instinct, isn't it?
Instinct, and like you're saying, you've always been taught, get on those balls. But
exactly.
Listen, a dead emotional time for a lot of players and stuff, and you're kind of sitting there going, I've just made a big mess of this. And you're sitting and it's funny because I was just sitting going, well, you caught it and you've totally made a big mess of it. And I remember, like, the best thing for me was moving down to Newcastle straight away. We played against Northampton on Saturday, and that was the best thing. It didn't give me a chance to dwell on anything, because I came into Falcons not knowing anybody, because I didn't get to go and do pre-season with them because we'd been up in the Pyrenees with the Scotland camp doing pre-season up there, and then obviously straight into the tournament. And I've come into Newcastle, and John Wells was the head coach at the time. I've walked into the meeting room again. I hadn't met anyone yet. Coming back, I was the one of the new signings, but I was the last one to join up with the Newcastle squad. And John Wells went. We've obviously got the second most hated man in Scotland joining us today, John Welsh. I didn't even know him, and he's just absolutely slaughtered me in front of all the new, and everyone's burst out laughing. And I love a laugh as much as the next guy. I just could have been shell shocked, stopped in my tracks in the middle of this meeting, and just sat up the corner like a wee boy. Wasn't even a kit or anything. I remember jeans and a t-shirt. Just sat like a wee boy, like just got rinsed off the head coach straight away.
So I've got a list of questions. A wee bit of thinking time, but as quick fire as you can manage. Who's the biggest coach's pet?
Ever, or just in Scotland? If we're going to,
I told you it wasn't going to be quick fire.
If we're going to,
well, that's a tough one to be quick fire with.
Oh, that's too vague. You can't just slap a big grey paintbrush on it and say, right, who's the biggest? I mean, you were captain for Glasgow for 8 years and got 50 odd caps. I mean, straight away I'm like, I'll kill
it. He used to take an apple to the coach every Monday as well.
9 years, not 8, but it doesn't matter. Who would you most like to spend lockdown with?
Easy. My fiance and my daughter.
Who's your toughest ever opponent?
Toughest ever opponent? Got to be Census Johnson.
It's the best ground you've ever played at?
I guess what would be Murrayfield again. This is it's biased, isn't it? Because it's the team you always wanted to play for, and then when it finally happens, it's almost surreal. singing the anthem in the middle of Murrayfield. Nothing beats that, I think, for a Scotland player.
Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure to get your insight into your Scotland career and a bit of a look ahead to this France game from 2018. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Thanks, Welshie. Top man.